Now, imagine legally taking advantage of a store's going out of business sale. We've all done it at some point, just to have the police then called on you. A black couple says that happened to them in Ohio after visiting a Bed Bath & Beyond. Everything in the store was more than half off. So Lamar Richards and Austin Gear decided to fill up their shopping carts. Apparently, that was enough reason for an employee to call the police on them.
So you called and you're not saying anything. I'm wondering why were the police called? Because you called them and said we have potential shoplifters because they have.
We're not going to be able to resolve this. I don't know what you want us to say. But I don't care if the white, black, or green. If somebody is walking around with big high-ticket items,
there's a lot of people walking around with high-ticket items. I mean, Dyson's. So wait, define high-ticket items.
That's why they walked it up to the.
And of course, once again, they only had one card with what the clerk calls high-ticket items. Now, the question is this our America? We have a response from Bed Bath & Beyond, but first, we hear from the couple and their attorney, Ben Crump. And joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, we have with us Lamar Richards and Austin Gear and their attorney, Ben Crump. Guys, glad to have you on The Factor Uncensored. So, Austin and Lamar, when you guys realized what was happening to you at the Bed Bath & Beyond store, what went through your mind?
I think first, I felt humiliated. I was immediately humiliated when I figured out what was going on. I was also very confused as to why the officer was asking the cashier whether Austin and I had paid as opposed to the other white patrons that had just left the store. I think more than anything, I felt humiliated.
And Austin, to go through that and to hear an officer ask, have these black individuals paid, and nothing about the white individuals, your thoughts on just experiencing that?
Yeah, I definitely had chills down my body. I froze up because you never know what's going to go down in those situations. People like us have been shot and killed. They're no longer here with us for things less than that. So we just never know. So we definitely frozen.
Now, you guys supposedly came to their attention because you had big ticket or large purchase items.
Right. The manager and the individual that called the authorities claimed that the reason for calling was because we had, quote unquote, too many high ticket items in our cart. And when that happens, they become suspicious of patrons with too many high value items.
And did that make any sense to you?
Absolutely not. First of all, I mean, I think it's ridiculous to insinuate that you would call the authorities for someone for purchasing something that you sell in your store, for one. And two, everything in the store was on sale, as I'm sure you probably are aware. It's a closing sale. Mm-hmm. So everything was between 50 and 70% off. And lastly, the most expensive thing that we purchased was a vacuum cleaner that the manager had already taken from us and held behind the counter while we shopped. And so, this claim that too many high ticket items were in our cart holds no weight when you think about it, because it's a ridiculous claim.
And when they told you their explanation for calling the cops, or for one of the employees calling the cops, Austin, what was that like to hear that explanation?
It just didn't make any sense to what they were saying about the high ticket items, saying that the police always have their backs. It didn't matter if we were black, they would have called if they were white, blue, or green. It just didn't make any sense. They just weren't getting into the root of why they actually called the police. So it just made sense that it was profiled. That's the only thing that it really could boil down to.
And have either of you experienced anything like this before?
No. My family has always told us to be vigilant and to be aware. We're both from the South. We're both from South Carolina. So growing up in the South, our family's always told us to be vigilant, kind of be aware of your surroundings. For things like this, we've heard stories of racial profiling, these stories of shopping while black, others, but nothing firsthand or first account.
Now, Ben Crump, Bed Bath & Beyond sent us a statement saying they're investigating. Are you at all surprised by the action that the manager or the store employees took in this case involving your clients?
I wish I could say I was surprised, but it happens far too often, Isaiah. And this is just an appalling case of shopping while black that we actually have the video documentation because Lamar was quick enough to get his cell phone out and challenge the manager on the spot. And we have to hold Bed Bath & Beyond accountable for not condoning this in any way. And the fact that they have not issued an apology to them is just as appalling to me.
What can they do? What kind of action can they take, Mr. Crump, in a situation like this? Obviously, Bed Bath & Beyond is closing, going out of business. You know, out of the blue, they can come with a bankruptcy to block any court verdict. So how do you even deal with a situation like this, a company on the decline?
Well, there are corporate dynamics that can have insurance for matters like this. So we're going to explore every possibility, not just to make sure that there's some recourse on the part of Bed Bath & Beyond, but more importantly, so this doesn't happen to anybody else like Lamar and Austin, to cause them to be humiliated and to have to be demeaned in this fashion and then be lied upon. It seems that it was not truthful when they tried to explain why they called the police on these two black men.
And Austin and Lamar, what's the long-lasting impact of going through something like this? What has been the impact on you guys going through this?
I think we were always, like Lamar said, always taught to be vigilant, but I think always we're going to have to keep a watchful eye every time we go in the store, especially now. We just never know. So, yeah, just having to keep a watchful eye, just going to kind of paranoid watchful eyes all times, because we don't want this humiliation.
We reached out to Bed Bath & Beyond for a statement. They responded with this. At Bed Bath & Beyond Incorporated, we take matters of this nature very seriously and do not tolerate discrimination of any kind. We're deeply concerned about the reported incident and are actively looking into the matter, as we do with any incident or incidents described that are inconsistent with our policies and our procedures.